Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte. What is up, everybody? Week 14 for fantasy football. Big week. Hopefully you're not starting your playoffs this week, as there are still teams on bye. The New England Patriots, the Philadelphia Eagles, they jump out. But right now, a lot of people are fighting for wins, and hopefully we are going to get you to those wins. As you can see, as you know, I'm Jason. That's Weston. We're missing Lou this week, unfortunately, but we're going to carry on without him. Weston, what's up with you, buddy?
Not much, man. Feeling your sentiment this morning. Little tired, late night for an old man like myself, watching some of those UFC fights. But for our kiddo listeners, as Jason said, Lou is not here. He's having brunch with Santa, so this is the time to make sure that you're being naughty or nice, because he's gonna let him know about it.
Yeah, I mean, and he might even put in a bad word on you without you even doing anything, just because like Lou strikes me as the sarcastic type that'll just be like, yeah, this guy, So like I totally dig that vibe too. But hey, let's take our victory laps from last week and let's talk about where we missed. Elijah Moore over Brandon Ayuk, that worked immediately. Was very happy to see that happen. Unfortunately, now Elijah Moore is out, and a lot of people were depending on him going into the fantasy playoffs. That's a huge blow. Weston, can you think of anything that you threw out there last week that worked out?
Dude, I was racking my brain about this morning because I was so eager last week to mention my victory laps, and I was drawing blanks. I feel like last week we were pretty just like even keel. There wasn't anything that was like too eye-popping or too out of left field that we had to. Like, I don't think we had any booms or busts, and because memory would serve me better if we did it.
The only thing that I could say is that I know we missed on is we were like, yeah, we're pounding the table. Brandon Ayuk must start, right? This is the week. And unfortunately, didn't come to fruition. So that's the only one that I could really think of. Unless, if you guys can remember any, let us know in the comments so we can, at least go back on how we feel, in terms of what it is. So we already got some questions coming in. So let's start. Cortland wants to know Stafford or Mahomes. Stafford against Arizona. Patrick Mahomes against the Raiders. I think I'm leaning Mahomes here just because the Rams have trouble with Arizona. Arizona's defense is pretty good. Now, here's something that maybe if I could play devil's advocate a little bit, Weston. Yep. No Darrell Henderson in this game. But if you notice what the Rams did last week, they ran a heavy formation, a lot of it with Sony Michelle. And I think that that's something that they're going to continue to do. It's always weird. With the Rams, Sean McVay gets kind of figured out halfway through the season, and he'll switch from like 11 personnel to like 21 and go from there. And I think that this is the turning point to where they kind of change their offensive philosophy. So I feel like Stafford's not going to throw as much. What would you say about that?
I actually 100% agree with that. And I'm a big Stafford guy, but I just think like everything you just said about McVay is once the formula's figured out, what he is so good at is pivoting and adjusting in game, prior games. And I think if I'm Arizona's D, I'm thinking like they're going to come in and they're going to air this thing out, right? Like they got the weapons, they got the quarterback. And I think McVay will do the complete opposite. He will pound the rock. He will set up play action. He'll get Stafford outside the pocket on the go and drag people across the field. So I expect like an efficient game from Stafford. I just don't expect like an eye-popping stat game from Stafford. So for me, it's Mahomes. Like, how is it not Mahomes? Like you probably wasted, not wasted, but you probably spent a second round pick on him in your draft. Like you dance with the one you came with. That I'm stealing from you. It's got to be Mahomes.
I agree there. So Interrupts asks Higgins or Iuke. It's T. Higgins. The volume is too good. Now think about the matchups that are going to be over there. It's going to be Lenore, Thomas, Norman. T. Higgins has been lighting it up. 10, 12, 14 targets a week. You cannot ignore that volume.
Yeah. Listen, you're not going to go wrong starting any Bengal wide receiver today. The corpse that is Dante Johnson running around in that backfield is, bless this man for still being in the league and finding a home and paying bills and do. Oh, Dante's out too, right? So there you go. There you go.
So that's why I said it's going to be either Lenore, Thomas, or Norman at this point, and I'm not feeling. not feeling good about any of them. The only thing that I would say is the only reason that I kind of think it should be Lenore is because the Bengals have been slowed down by zone coverage. And for me, I'm not a big Ambry Thomas guy because I really just don't think that he's that good. Sorry. But he plays a lot more man, and that's his strength. So if you're going to be running zone and you're going to be playing to what's been stopping Cincinnati, I think Lenore lends himself a little bit better to that. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to figure out how that goes. But when you're thinking about that, I mean, yeah, like Weston said it, any Bengals receiver at this point, you want to be able to start, man, because it's just the matchups. That's it. I mean, I know we're all 49ers fans, but it's not looking good right now.
No, today we're fantasy fans, right? Or at least for the next 40 minutes, we're here to help with your fantasy, and the advice you should take is definitely T. Higgins on this.
Absolutely. Okay. G wants to know Ronald Jones or Hasty. Goodness gracious, this is tough. Just because you don't know what role Ronald Jones is going to have. At least we know that Hasty is going to be involved, right? Like it won't be all Wilson, especially just based on the fact that Wilson just hasn't performed up to expectations. Like Wilson's a start this week. I have him, based on volume, I have him as a start. But I think I lean Hasty in this one, man. I think that the 49ers are going to try to run that thing as best they can. And Fournette's just been doing too much for me to trust Ronald Jones. Like, you kind of just hope he just gets in the end zone.
So I will always look for opportunities to disagree with somebody, right? I never want this to be a love fest the entire time. That doesn't make for good audio. That being said, to me, it's Hasty too because of the uncertainties around Ronald Jones, right? Like he could, if he finds the end zone, great. But is he going to? Like Fournette feels like really the only game in town. And I've always been a big fan of JaMychal Hasty. I agree with you that Wilson's production has been lackluster when he's getting the opportunities here. And Hasty just feels like, I know he's coming off an injury, feels like a little less banged up. He's still pretty explosive, right? So it's only going to take one or two, big plays to outperform a Ronald Jones. So if this is the situation you find yourself with, just based on my uncertainty around Ronald Jones, I'm going JaMychal Hasty.
Awesome. Sean wants to know Brandon Iuke or Russell Gage. Russell Gage was a swing and a miss for me as well. I mean, he was unbelievable last week, and he seems like the only game in town because Kyle Pitts just is somewhat of an afterthought in this offense right now. I think I lean Russell Gage in this one, unfortunately. I know it's like any week that I think Ayuk's going to ball out, he doesn't. Any week that I don't think he's going to ball out, he does. So I guess take this as whatever, but I'm going to lean Russell Gage here.
Yeah, I'm leaning Gage as well. I've been on the Gage bandwagon for a while just because of sheer volume of targets. I do think Iuke is going to have a game if the 49ers want to contend. But Debo being back obviously takes away some target share. I think Kyle's going to look to reestablish the run heavily, and that's going to be a three-headed monster between Wilson, Hasty, and Debo, and then force feeding Kittle. So I just think on sheer volume and opportunity, it's got to be Russell Gage.
Cool. Gronkowski or Dawson Knox, Karthik wants to know. Now, man, it's strange, right? Rob Gronkowski has just been scoring touchdown after touchdown, right? And it's hard to get away from that. Dawson Knox is the one who actually gets volume, but he didn't turn it into production last week. Obviously, we know what was going on with the weather. This one's tough. I'll start with you, Weston. I'll let you set this one off.
To me, this is easier than you might think, and I just think it's Gronk because I think this is a big football game, right? And in big football games, I look for TB12 to his boy, number 87 out there. And a lot of times they force feed it, and Gronk's just a gamer. Like he's a big-time gamer on a big stage, and this is a big football game for both of these teams. So I'm going to lean towards the proven vet and Gronkowski in this one.
Yeah, I think I go Gronk too, just because he could be the guy that ends up with 2 touchdowns. I don't know if that's in the cards for Dawson Knox. They're both playing in the same game. So yeah, I mean, I think I just lean Gronk. He's just been doing too much, and Brady loves him. So I agree. Daniel, what's good, y'all? Let's go Niners. Gallup or Jones in my flex. Which Jones would that be? Is it Ronald? Is it Tony? I don't know. Like Julio. Yeah, it could be Julio. I mean, if it's Julio or Gallup, then I say Gallup still, just because he still gets the target volume, and I think that I just like Michael Gallup a lot, man. And all he really needs is that one touchdown, and he's gonna get like 7-8 targets. Also, no Tony Pollard in this game, so I expect Dak to throw the ball a little bit more in terms of Zeke will get his touches, but they're going to throw the ball a bunch, and it's a divisional game. It'll be a little bit weird. So I'm going to lean Gallup here, but if you can give us some clarity on who the other Jones is, you know what? It really doesn't matter what Jones it is.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I think it's just Gallup.
we're not keeping up with the Joneses on this one. It's
I like it.
Gallup. It's Gallup.
Cool. All right. D-Flow for the flex, Debo, Jamar Chase, or James Conner. Goodness gracious.
Wow.
So Debo is going to play.
Yep.
How much? We don't know. Jamar Chase has only eclipsed 50 yards one time in the last 5 games.
Disappointing.
James Conner possibly could have Chase Edmonds returning this week. Possibly. He designated to return from the IR, still hasn't been activated at this point. What do you think, Weston?
Everything you just said, Jamar's performance has obviously gone down. Obviously, the emergence of T. Higgins coming back and getting more target share, which for me personally is disappointing because I carry Jamar in multiple leagues. I am very nervous about this Debo thing, and it's a groin. Like, you could feel real good. You push it once, you're gone. This is a non-contact type of injury that could rear its ugly head. So based on those factors, believe it or not, for me, this is James Conner, regardless of Edmonds' plays. Coming back off that high ankle sprain, I think it's telling that they're going to wait till literally tomorrow night to make that decision if they're going to activate them. And I think they'll err on the side of caution because they're making a strong playoff run, and he's a top performer for them. So for me, it's James Conner.
Yeah, I don't know how you can bench James Conner at this point, especially. I mean, I know we're talking about Debo Samuel here, but I think that I'm a little bit skittish when it comes to that. If you were desperate and you had lesser options, I would lean Debo right away.
Yeah.
But I think James Conner is the safest. And I mean, he may not offer the boom upside that Chase does, especially this week, or Debo, realistically, because who knows? Debo could go out there and, get a full complement of snaps and look fine and get through the game perfectly okay. But I think just to be safe, I would think I think I lean James Conner as well too. He's just used too much. Even when Chase Edmonds was there, he was the goal line back.
Yeah.
And now if he's out, then it's like even more of a slam dunk in my opinion. So, all right. Jose wants to know Josh Jacobs or CD at flex. It's Josh Jacobs, and here's why: Kenny Drake is out, Jalen Richard is out. It's him every single down. This is it. This is what Josh Jacobs fantasy managers have been hoping for. It's Josh Jacobs. You cannot walk away from that volume.
Right player, right week, right matchup, right? How do you beat the Kansas City Chiefs? You keep their offense off the field. How do you keep their offense off the field? You run the rock, you move the ball on, and convert on third downs, and all of that ties right back to number 28, Josh Jacobs. If he's going to have the week that you need him to have, and the week that you're hoping for that he drafted, this is literally the week for him. So to me, this is an easy one too, Josh Jacobs.
Especially after you watch Javonte Williams. Oh, hello, Javonte Williams. Destroy the Kansas City defense last week. Josh Jacobs is going to be catching the ball out of the backfield. He's the only game in town. I think that you can't walk away from that. Vader Joe wants to know, this is tough. Sony Michelle, Chuba Hubbard, Wilson Jr., Dylan PPR, pick 2, or Van Jefferson in the flex. Well, I think you're going to go Sony Michelle at this point. The only thing I want to say about this is this, and I have him in a league where I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, because it's Monday night. I'm just afraid that because Henderson has been put on the COVID list, that they're just going to deem Sony Michelle a close contact, put him on the COVID list. And then if he's out, you're waiting Monday night and you have like one option. I had to look up the third guy on the Rams depth chart, whoever it would be. I never even heard of that young man. But that would be your pivot. But at this point right now, Sony Michelle, that heavy formation that we talked about, he's in for me right now. Now it comes down to, what do you believe with Chuba, Jeff Wilson, A.J. Dillon at PPR? And of those three, I probably feel the safest with Chuba at this point of those three, right? And I'm interested to hear what Wes has to say.
Yeah, so I'm erring on the side of agreeing with you. The only wrinkle that I might throw in that is I do have some concerns about the Sony Michelle thing and that popping up last minute, rearing its ugly head, and then pivoting it to a nobody or like having a blank in your roster. Like that's not good. Chuba for me is the definite. Especially after the firing of Joe Brady, everything you're hearing this week is like, look, we got to get back to establishing the run and doing those things. And that's going to be a two-headed monster between himself and Cam. And I like everything about Chuba and his game. The other one that I might continue to pound the table for here is A.J. Dillon. I honestly think as we get further into this season, colder weather, things of that nature, mop-up games like the Bears might potentially be for them, you're going to see Dillon get more burn, conserving your weapons for that playoff push, not getting too much tread on those tires. And I think Dillon's showing that how good he really is and how physical of a runner he really is and what problems he presents for defense. So if I'm airing where my mind says, and Michelle might literally not be able to play on Monday night, I'm going Chuba and I'm going A.J. Dillon.
Perfect. Okay. Cameron wants to know Cortland Sutton or Julio Jones. Cortland Sutton's been disappointed since Jerry Jeudy got back. Unfortunately, it just is what it is at this point. But I think I lean Cortland Sutton here just because of the matchup. It's Detroit. Their secondary is less than stellar. That's where I could put it. I was trying to be very nice. And I think that I don't know, man. You know what? Give me a sec. You go, Weston.
Yeah,
Oof, man.
I'm actually gonna go Julio, and I'll
Okay.
give you my reasoning why. There's just like I haven't seen Julio play. I gotta imagine he's fresh, right? Like I gotta imagine that the offense might feel a little bit more rejuvenated having a threat like that back in and trying to force feed the issue, get him back in the flow against a divisional opponent. The Cortland Sutton enigma baffles me. I mean, this dude is a stud wide receiver, and I know Judy's back in the mix, but like you have an embarrassment of riches in targets that you need to be feeding the ball. I want Sutton to deliver more. My fantasy teams want Sutton to deliver more, but I am in this exact same dilemma in a league, and I am playing Julio Jones over Cortland Sutton. So that's what I'm going with.
There you go. Listen to Weston, man. He's got to make the decision. He's putting his money where his mouth is, and this isn't just a speculation. He's going to go with it as well too. So if and he's the only game in town. AJ Brown's not there, so you know what? Yep. You changed my mind. I'm with it. I'm with Julio as well too.
Let's go. That's what I'm here for, baby.
Right. XO, DK, or Mike Williams. No Keenan Allen in this game. No Keenan Allen against the Giants, and in games that Keenan Allen has not been there, Mike Williams has gone absolutely bonkers. So I lean Mike Williams this week. I understand that DK leads in targets, but I cannot walk away from Mike Williams this week.
Yeah, this is actually a very difficult one, right? Because you have the Seahawks sitting there saying, like, we're still in this. We're going to win. We signed AP, and now he's obviously injured. We're going all in and making this thing's moves. And, hey, step one was accomplished. They beat the 49ers last week, right? So the ball's rolling. And the offensive 14 needs to be involved if this offense wants to move. But I can't ignore that Keenan Allen is not on the field and a problem that Mike Williams presents for that New York Giants secondary. I do think Bradbury is going to follow him around the field. And I think very, very highly of James Bradbury. But where I see like Mike Williams is a touchdown threat in the red zone, those things. And if he gets in the end zone, you're not going to regret playing him. I agree. It's Mike Williams.
Cool. With it on that one. Mr. Olight, good morning, gentlemen. Depends on where you're at right now because it's the afternoon for us East Coasters, but good morning to you, sir. Davonte Freeman or Sony Michelle. Davonte Freeman is the workhorse for the Baltimore Ravens right now, and you cannot dispute that at this point. Sony Michelle went absolutely bonkers last week.
Yep.
This one's tough, but I'm going to lean Sony here. But again, that COVID thing scares the hell out of me just because he doesn't necessarily have to test positive to be put on the list. I'm surprised that he wasn't deemed a close contact or something like that because that was the same conundrum that Mike Williams was in. He was put on the COVID list, never tested positive. Obviously, is active and ready to go. But again, if Sony is deemed as a close contact between now and Monday, you really have no other options. So it's risky. But Sony is the play. Like in normally, like let's just say, Darrell Henderson's groin was the reason that he wasn't playing. Then it's Sony for sure. But because of that, that's just that uncertainty that you have to throw in there. But I'm leaning Sony here.
Yeah, I am as well. But let's call it what it is. I mean, both teams have somewhat tough defensive matchups that they face, right, in Cleveland and Arizona, respectively. To me, there's just something broken in Baltimore's offense right now. And I know he's the workhorse. I know he's volume. But just something doesn't look and feel right. And under normal circumstances, this is Sony. If you take the COVID thing out of it, I think McVay's figuring out how to use them, how to, flip the script here. So I'm just going to go and say he's going to play Monday. Sony Michelle.
Okay. Karthik wants to know Russell Gage or Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow has been a top 12 wide receiver in PPR the last 4 weeks. It's got to be Hunter Renfrow. Must start. Absolute must start.
Yeah, and again, I've been pounding the table for Russell Gage just on sheer volume, but Renfrow gets very similar volume and exceeds in production. So it's Renfrow.
Yep. Okay. Jose Julio, hi guys, big fan from Mexico. CD or Josh Jacobs? Josh Jacobs. That's the best way we can put it. Okay. Shout out to Amin the Dream. Should I start DJ Moore or Michael Gallup as my flex? Man, don't make me choose. Please don't make me choose, man. I love DJ Moore, man.
You know what the right answer is, Jason.
I think it's DJ.
Yeah, I actually do too. And the only reason why I say this, if this was like last week or any previous weeks, I'd say Michael Gallup. The one thing that I think changes for them right now is that firing of Joe Brady. And sometimes when heads roll within organizations, it creates a little extra motivation for your playmakers. And whether that lasts 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, but this is week one of that changing of the guard. And I think DJ Moore benefits from it.
Awesome. DC wants to know Julio Jones or Gage. I'm going Russell Gage here. You can't ignore what's been happening with him, and it's Julio off his first game back. So
yeah. I wish I felt differently, but I don't.
Okay. Sean wants to know Van Jefferson or Mike Evans. You can't bench Mike Evans.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, you live with the duds because he can easily put up a 3-touchdown game at any point, and it's just you got to just roll with it at this point.
Yeah. The unfortunate side is those 3-touchdown games look a little bit like this. 3 catches for 18 yards and 3 touchdowns.
There you go.
Yeah.
Paul Madison has a good question here. Has DK gone from set and forget to playing matches for the rest of the season? Yeah, he has. He definitely has. He definitely has, unfortunately. And that's just where we are. And that's good that you brought this up because people get wrapped up in, oh, well, I drafted this guy at this range. And I not necessarily. Like, you have to try to make the best decision optimally. Like last week, for instance, and if I didn't make this move, I wouldn't have won my matchup and clinched my playoff spot. I benched Jamar Chase. I benched him because I put Sony Michelle in at my flex, and Darrell Henderson was active, and I started Deontay Johnson and Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup had the Thursday game, and he scored the touchdown. Deontay Johnson's an auto start. But if I didn't, and I just went with, oh well, Jamar Chase has been balling or whatever, like if I didn't make that decision, I would have lost my matchup by 7 points, and that's like Sony went crazy for 21. So you have to always make the best decision based on the information that's in front of you, not where you drafted them. And that goes a lot too with certain people that you keep on your roster that you don't want to drop. Like, I can't drop Allen Robinson. I can't. No matter how much he's not doing anything, yep. I cannot. I can't start him, but I can't drop him either for whatever reason. And I've literally had my finger over the drop button to make a move and bring somebody else in, and I just can't do it. And maybe I should take my own advice. But it's just, I hate the idea of Allen Robinson going on someone else's roster and then finally putting it together.
Listen, this has happened to me. I mean, whether it's Alexander Madison or somebody that you've had as a handcuff and you got to drop them. But to Paul's point, I think there are maybe only a handful of players in this league right now that are still set it and forget, and you live and die by them. I mean, we're talking about clinching playoff spots, clinching first-round buys in some leagues, and then the playoffs thereafter. That is matchup based, and you got to go with whoever it is at this point. That's going to give you the best opportunity to see the following week and see it through and collect that paper at the end of the chase.
Right. Just don't get too cute, right? Like, if a guy is balling out and you're worried about a matchup and you bench it for somebody else, that's not the same as somebody who isn't performing. So, like, I have a very sad story about me costing myself a championship because when Brandon Cooks was on the Saints, I benched him because I was afraid of Patrick Peterson, and he went off for like 3 touchdowns in that game, and it cost me. And then the next week, guess what? Highest scoring team, would have won the championship. That's my story. So it's like, it's a give and take. Everything has to have its context. So let's keep going. Ali, thank you for the question. For the flex, Mike Williams, Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase, or James Conner. Goodness gracious, Weston, you go first.
Mike Williams. We talked about it before, right? Just looking at these names. I'd say a close second is going to be James Conner. I mean, we had these final 3 were part of an earlier question. Mike Williams is the new intro to a similar conversation, but we talked about just matchup, lack of Keenan Allen, high production. I think for this, assuming PPR and things of that nature, Mike Williams for me.
Yeah, I think I go Mike Williams here too. He just has a higher ceiling than everybody right now this week, just because he's alone, and Herbert's going to throw that thing. So, Sin, thank you for the question. Jeff Wilson, Iuke, Zach Moss, Hollywood Brown. I would take Zach Moss out of this immediately. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want to play him, and especially considering these options, I'm taking Zach Moss out immediately. I don't want to even bother with that. 1 week he's a healthy scratch. The next week he's out snapping and out touching Matt Breida. Backfield's a mess. Like, I just want to stay away from that Buffalo. The only way I would play a Buffalo running back right now is one, I'm desperate, or two, there's some sort of clarity. Like either 2 injuries and one guy who's only going to be there. It's just right now they have no idea what they're doing with that rotation. I think I lean Hollywood Brown here in this one, just because the upside. And Lamar can't play that bad. Again, it just can't happen. It won't happen. In fact, it won't happen.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
So I agree. Zach Moss immediately off the table on this one, Sin. I'm going to err a little differently from Jason on this one because as someone who's been carrying Hollywood Brown all year, and he either makes me look really good or really bad at times, I think this is actually between the 2 Niners, and the Niner that I would side with on this one is Brandon Ayuk, actually, because I think there's going to have to be big explosive plays on offense, and Debo's groin worries me, and I think Ayuk has to get involved. So I'm going with number 11 from our 49ers, a little hometown play here.
All right. Well, there you go. You got 2 perspectives here. So
where's Lou? He's the tiebreaker usually for
right.
us.
Oh, shit. Jarvis Landry's his answer. He wants to know Julio or Ayuk, then Burkhead or Hilliard, both PPR leagues. So I go Burkhead over Hilliard because David Johnson was just put on the COVID list this morning. He's the only game in town right now. And Davis Mills, let's just say he's limited as a passer. Again, I'm just trying to be nice on Sundays. So I think that Burkhead's going to get a ton of work. He'll catch a bunch of passes. And if it's Julio or Ayuk, I actually lean Ayuk in this one.
Both, right? I'm leaning Ayuk and I'm leaning Burkhead.
Perfect. All right. Sin, Dawson, Knox, or Tyler Higbee? Ooh, I lean Knox. I lean Knox here.
Me too. Something popped this year, late last year and this year, where Allen loves him, finds him. Even in that game against New England, he had a couple drops, right? I know it was a bad weather game, but to me, this is Dawson Knox as well.
Sim wants to know, I've been riding with Mixon all season. Should I sit him this week due to injuries? No, you do not. And he's not injured. He was fighting through a cold or something like that. So he's going to be fine. Like trust me, do not bench Joe Mixon. He's earned that like stat right there. Like just start every week.
Every week.
Judy or Renfro for my flex? Renfro.
Yep.
Let's see.
Sorry, I'm just.
Thank you, bro.
Some of these, I'm just jumping in on you.
No, you're good. You're good. Yes, please, everybody who's in here, if you guys are enjoying the content, please hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell. I will be going live after the 49ers game if I'm in any sort of shape. Right now, I'm just like, I'm pushing through the hangover right now as best I can. So let's just see where I'm at 4 o'clock. And a 49ers win would make it a lot easier for me to jump on the post game. So, Nomadic K. Rodgers or Hill. That's Taysom. Rodgers owns the Bears. I don't think you can even go away from that at this point. I think you just stick with him there. But then flex, Darnell Mooney, Jarvis Landry, Brandon Cooks, or Kareem Hunt. I think you take Cooks out just because of the way he's been playing, and I don't trust Davis Mills. Jarvis Landry is just like a safe play. Darnell Mooney does have Allen Robinson coming back. I think it's Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
And I think that this is the week that they get him back on track and they get back to basics with him and Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I'll start with the latter. I think out of those 4 for me, it's Kareem Hunt getting back to the QB play. A little tougher than you might think. Like usually Aaron Rodgers is like, hey, if he's healthy, he's in your lineup. But I know Taysom Hill has a ton of sex appeal just playing against a New York Jet defense and what he's capable. Like he's probably going to run for 2 touchdowns. He'll probably throw another. He's likely to throw 3 picks. But he's going to get into the end zone. So that's like boom or bust. So this week, if you're looking at your matchup and you need consistency, right? Like, you need 115, 120, 130 points to win. You got to go with the most consistent player on the list, and that's Aaron Rodgers.
And also, real quick, this is a side note for bettors. I smashed the over on Alvin Kamara's receptions prop. 3.5.
Yep.
That's an easy smash on the over. That's easy money right there. And he's the only game in town. So for anybody out there looking for a nice little prop bet that you can come up on, 3.5 is silly. And I can't even believe that that's what it was set at for Alvin Kamara this week. So
happy to see him back too, by the way. The NFL is just better when Alvin Kamara is playing.
and one of the drippiest, swaggiest players out there, man.
So
Honestly,
good,
man. It's so good. He's like he like glides on skis when he's out there. He's just so good. Mr. Olight wants to know one more for my flex now. Jarvis Landry, Devonta Freeman, or Sutton. I think I go Freeman here. Just because he's the only game in town, I think, right there. And Latavius Murray's an afterthought.
Yeah, Freeman, Mr. Olight, for me, this is Freeman as well. It's just sheer volume compared to the other two.
Absolutely. Okay. Currently, I have Josh Jacobs at RB1. I still have Saquon, Antonio Gibson, and Cordell Patterson, who should be my RB2 in flex. I think you sit Saquon Barkley. Antonio Gibson needs to start. J.D. McKissick is out. And Cordell Patterson is too vital to what they do on that offense. I think you said Saquon Barkley. I can't even believe that I'm saying these words out of my mouth.
Yeah. So Cordell Patterson has become one of those guys that is set and forget in fantasy right now. I mean, he is Atlanta's offense. I think the Washington football team is going to be hyped up for this game in Dallas. Too much material out there. Too much Mike McCarthy guaranteeing wins against a tough football team. And you know what? That's locker room feed, man. This goes all the way back to high school. You can't give players something to be motivated about on top of their paycheck. You sit Saquon, you are playing Antonio Gibson, and you are playing Cordell Patterson.
Can't believe it. Cannot believe that this is where we're at right now. Unbelievable. Devonta Freeman or D Williams. I'm assuming that's Darryl, but I think you go Devonta at this point. Darryl and CEH, they have similar snap shares, but the opportunities are heavily skewed the other way. So I think that also another prop bet that I took as well too. Darrell Williams over 17 receiving yards, smashed it. Easily smashed that one. 17 receiving yards, that was silly. That's easy money right there. So I mean, that's on FanDuel Sportsbook book, by the way. So I mean, if you're looking for another prop bet, let's see. DJ Wright, bro, these guys are awesome. Bang, bang. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that, man. James Conner or Mike Evans. Good God.
Wow.
D-Flow, you've got some really good options, man. Your team is stacked. You got a loaded-ass team. I mean, I don't think there's any wrong answer here. You go for it, Weston.
I don't think there is, but if I'm looking for the consistency meter, which is what I tend to look for, I'm actually going to err on the side of James Conner in this particular one. And in these scenarios, I tend to lean towards the running back because they touch the ball more frequently and they have a greater opportunity of finding the end zone. You're not wrong either way because I think both of them are going to actually have big games this week, but I would go James Conner.
Yeah, I think I just lean Mike Evans just because no Tre'Davious White. The Bills' defense isn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but that would have made me a little bit more cautious. But I have a tough time benching Mike Evans, man. I really do, because once you do, that's the week.
Yeah.
4 catches, 4 yards, 4 touchdowns, like that sort of thing. Like that's it right there. So
so true.
Debo or CD? My Niner heart wants to start Debo, but I don't feel very confident. Goodness gracious. This is where we're at right now. My Niner heart wants to start Debo as well, too. I just can't trust it. I'm going to go CD.
Yeah, I mean, Guy, you see where my heart is on this one, too, but it is CD Lamb. Unfortunately, it is CD Lamb. Just that groin scares me. It's too quick, too fast. That groin scares me.
Yeah. El Jefe, I'm guessing that's Jeff Wilson or OBJ. Goodness gracious. I think I lean Odell here, man. Look, I love Jeff Wilson, and I know he's gonna get the opportunities, but he hasn't shown me much at all. And I know that he had full practices and everything. I'm scared when it comes to that. In your league, he's probably projected to have more points than Odell Beckham, but I don't think he will. And I think Odell is a lock for at least 1 red zone target, 2 red zone targets, as you saw in that last game. By the way, Sean McVay mic'd up. That was incredible. I think you guys should take a look at that, man. If you want to know a coach who cares about his players, man, like, that was really cool. Like, say what you want about him, but, Van Jefferson coming up to him and saying, man, thank you for believing in me. And then he literally called it. Like, he put the play sheet over his mouth, and he's talking to Matt Stafford, and he's like, hey, man, be patient with Odell on this fade. Go to him and get him the ball, and they scored on it. It was just really cool to see.
Yeah, McVay's a real likable guy, and I think the telling factor there was Van Jefferson being comfortable enough to go up to his coach after the fact and say, "Thank you for believing in me." Those conversations have happened throughout behind the scenes that you don't see. That as an ex, I played football growing up. Like, that just gave me chills, right? Just like having that that sentiment.
And he said you deserve it too.
Yeah.
Like it was very much you could tell he cares. So I know that has nothing to do with fantasy, but it was really cool.
But that matters, man, right? We're always looking for something to buy in and believe in, right? Like, and we forget at the end of the day that these are people as well, and there's a very emotional side of football. And that was appreciated to see that. So back to this question, it will be OBJ. I would play OBJ. I agree with you as much as I love El Jefe. He just doesn't feel like the Jeff Wilson of pass. He doesn't feel as explosive. He feels hesitant going between the tackles. I believe that Jermichael Hasty will actually out fantasy point him from a production standpoint this week in this game.
I like it. All right, we're going to move a little bit faster. We're 25 minutes away from kickoff, and Daddy's got to set all his lineups, too, to get up out of here. So let's get to it. Russell Burrow, I'm leaning Burrow here, unfortunately. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can trust Russell Wilson at this point.
And I don't trust the 49ers secondary, so it's Burrow.
Yeah, there you go. Red Waltz wants to know, Hollywood Brown or David Montgomery? It's Monty. It's Monty, man. I mean, yes, you got to. He is the only game in town, Monty.
Yep. David Montgomery for sure.
All right. Burrow, he said the same thing as well, too. April, anyone here else like me switching up your roster 10 seconds before the game starts? Yeah, probably. Like this. That's what I did with the Jamar Chase thing last week. I was just like, screw it. Bench Chase. We're putting Sony Michelle in. And that was based on just hearing that, Henderson was going to be break in case of injury, like it break in case, in glass, type thing. So, we all go through it. So, David Ho wants to know Cam Newton or Joe Burrow. I need 20 points plus I have to win. I think you still stick Burrow. I mean, I know that Cam presents it, but it's just, and look who you're talking to here. This is how you know I Cam Newton truther. I just can't trust it. One game up, one game down. It's literally the roller coaster right now with Cam.
It's Burrow.
Okay.
Easily 25 points today.
All right. Josh Allen or Herbert? Weston.
I'm going Herbert, and it's just based on the defensive matchup. I love Josh Allen. I know he's dual threat, but you just can't ignore who they're playing. I know that secondary is banged up, but to me, I just like Herbert's matchup a little better.
Yeah, I mean, that offense, there's something going on with the play calling. At any moment, obviously, Josh Allen could pop, but it's nowhere near what we thought it would be this season. A lot of people invested picks in Diggs and Allen, and it hasn't come to fruition. I think Herbert gets right this week and does a thing as well, too. Okay, something's off with Jeff Wilson Jr. this year. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an injury, something like that. So, Patterson or Renfro full PPR. Wow.
I'm riding Cordell here. I just think he does too much. Renfro does a lot. Patterson does more in terms of creative ways to get touches. So for me, it's Cordell.
Yeah, I think I lean Cordell here, but there's no real bad answer here at this point, especially with that. So is Brandon Ayuk a good play or Jalen Guyton with Keenan Allen? I lean Ayuk. I'm going to go Ayuk here. Yeah. Let's see. I'm going with Sony. Yeah, I mean, me too. I'm gonna see what happens. So, okay, one more: Zach Ertz or Dawson Knox. I lean Knox here.
Knox, yeah, Knox.
Yeah, I mean, Ertz has been pretty involved. Really can't say that a bad thing about his involvement. I thought that he was just gonna be brought over there and it wasn't really gonna matter much. But with the way they're using him, he's kind of pushed Rondell Moore out of the window at least a little bit in terms of fantasy.
I mean, tremendous addition in Arizona. And I agree with you. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's just a name going out there, right? Like, because we hadn't seen that Zach Ertz in a while, but he's fit in real nice. I just feel like another week with DeAndre back, Murray, just this particular matchup, I have to err on the established connection between Knox and Allen right now. So I'm going Knox.
All right, Knox, we got it. April, no problem. We're here to help, and feel free to yell at us when we get it wrong.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
That's the case as well too. So, yeah. Barry, Baller, Eric, what's up, buddy? Guyton, A-Rob, Devin Singletary. Ooh, I think I lean Guyton.
Yeah, these are the problems that we're looking for, right? This is what, like when you're in no man's land and you're scraping to win the week and get there. I too am leading Guyton, and that's. I like a lot of Guyton's game, and I think Keenan not being there, target shares increase. It's just easy math.
Vader Joe wants to know Van Jefferson or Hubbard. I go Chuba.
Chuba, running back in that scenario.
Yep. Appreciate that, guys. Yeah, we'll hang out for like 5 more minutes. I got to go lay down. Thank God this 49ers game. Thank God this 49ers game starts at later on. Bless the man who thought it was okay for them to move this on, because usually Cincinnati game, Ohio game, it would be a 1 o'clock game for us on the East Coast, 10 o'clock for you guys on the West Coast. But thank goodness gracious I get to watch the first half of these games from laying down on the couch. Paul wants to know Renfro or AJ Dillon for flex standard league. I lean AJ Dillon.
Me too. All right. I pound the table for him for weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been doing a lot. I mean, Aaron Jones is back, and they seem to, get him involved. And unfortunately, love Justin Fields. I just think that they're in trouble this week against the Packers, and that's the Sunday night game that they've given us. So you'll enjoy a beatdown of the Bears on national television, and you will take it and enjoy it. That's it. Yes, no questions asked. For everybody that's in here, we appreciate you guys. 40 minutes. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live. I will be going live after the 49ers game in some form or fashion in some whatever state that I can be. I'm pushing through right now. We're moving. Weston, real quick, we'll take a few more questions because I see them rolling in. Weston, let everybody know about where they can find you and everything that you have going on as well too. Because Weston does his own thing and he does amazing work as well.
Awesome, Jason. Appreciate it. This is normally where I rely on Lou, so I got to remember more information here. But you can find us on Twitter or Instagram at WTF Pod NFL, and on YouTube at We're Talking Football. It's me and Lou. We get together. Jason's been on the show before. We're just talking everything NFL. While I'm a 49ers fan, Lou's a Chargers fan. We definitely cover that content, but we stay up to date around the league and do our best to give you a fun lens at some different content out there. And more importantly, we have a good time while we're doing it. So just two guys talking football. And Jason, again, thank you so much for lending us your platform and your time and your advice. You've been a blessing, my friend.
No, come on, man. No big deal, man. It water off a duck's back, whatever the hell that means. Kartik wants to know Judy against the Lions defense, Russell Gage or Brandon Ayuk. I think Russell Gage here, man. I don't know if you can go away from him at this point. What do you think?
Yeah, Gage feels like a must start right now just from pure targets and what he does with the opportunity. I don't trust the quarterback play in Denver, and the Ayuk roller coaster continues.
Oh, DC knows how to get me going here. Full PPR. Javonte, MVS, or Judy. You already know what I'm about to say.
No.
Javonte Williams, man. I don't even care that Melvin Gordon's back. He's questionable. That's fine. But I think that Denver said, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we should get that guy the ball a little bit more. And I think that he's earned himself a share because he was incredible. Yes, I will take a little victory lap because you guys didn't like my Elijah Mitchell, Javonte Williams take. But that's the glimpse. That's what Javonte Williams can do week after week if he's given that same opportunity. Javonte Williams is just start here.
Coming out party last week, and like you said, it probably opened some eyes in Denver. Like, look what we have here, like it's Javonte. It's Javonte.
Yeah, absolutely. Paul Madison, love you guys. Drink some pickle juice, Jason. If that works, I'll go buy a jar of pickles right now, and like I will if that works. Trust me, I'm gonna go look that up.
That's so funny.
Thank you, everybody. Great info, you two Niners. Mahalo, guys. You guys are really informative. Appreciate you guys. I get up at 6:30 to catch you guys in Hawaii. Man, appreciate
Shout
that
out,
so
man.
much.
Appreciate that.
Man. Amazing, man. Amazing. So, 17 minutes to kick off. Let's just take this last one. Brunil, Standard League, Cortland Sutton or Jamar Jefferson at the flex.
I'll dive right. Go
Jamal
ahead.
Williams is out.
Yep. Swift out.
Yeah. It's standard though, so you go first.
I think I'm going the running back here, and just being the only game in town, and time again we see that running backs tend to be a dime a dozen, man. Some of these guys just come in, they just need their opportunity. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the Cortland Sutton stock is down right now, and I don't know if this is a get week right based on the matchup, so I'm going Jamar Jefferson.
Yeah, I'll probably lean Jefferson too, just because you need that touchdown. He's going to be the one running the ball. You just hope that the Lions can keep it close and they don't have to keep throwing the ball, because then that leans to the guy whose last name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, who's the passing catch, the pass catcher over there for them. Jose, thank you for the donation. Appreciate you. Thanks for the advice, guys. Go Niners. Yeah, we're trying, man. And I think this is the best time for us to let it go. Long Island girl, I'm just coming in. Should I start Debo? Depends on your options. Depends on your options at this point.
If you got to make the playoffs, you probably got to start him, right? You got to
Yeah.
take the upside if it's there.
Right. DC, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Melvin Gordon. Oh,
Melvin, unfortunately. I know we just talked about Javonte Williams, but that Melvin Gordon's not going away either, and he's been productive. You just haven't seen production from Wilson this year. Like, you just haven't seen it, so I don't have an expectation that it's going to take place this week.
Yeah, man. Melvin Gordon plays at 4, though. So just in case, you can still wait till later on to make this decision. But I lean Melvin right now, so oh, goodness gracious. I mean, it's just I have to make decisions like that in my leagues as well, too. So it's like I'm not shaming you or anything like that, bro. It's just like where we're at right now. So 12-team full PPR, choose 3. AJ Dillon, Cole Beasley. That's the guy's name that I'm not going to try to pronounce. That's the pass catcher running back from the Lions. Michael Gallup, Deontay Foreman, Rashad Bateman. Goodness gracious. So you got to choose 3. AJ Dillon, Gallup, and Beasley.
Yeah, I agree literally 1,000%. If I was throwing a little wrinkle, if you were hesitant, I'd throw my man Batsman in there. I don't know who this Bateman guy is that everybody keeps talking about.
I love that that's a running joke, too. No, I love it.
The dude came out and goes, how you going to do me like that? That was so funny.
Yeah. So, 15 minutes to kick off, guys. We're going to get out of here. And we'll take this last one real quick. Van Jefferson or Iuke? I'm going to lean Iuke here.
I'm going to lean Iuke too.
Okay. So, we're going to get out of here, guys. Set your lineups. Get those wins. Get that bye. Get into the playoffs. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Send this up into the algorithm. It'll help us out a lot. And, I'm going to go set my lineups and lay down and get ready for this Niners game at 4 o'clock. And thank you guys so much. Thank you, Weston, as always, for joining and helping out and everything. One more time, tell everybody where they can find you before we go.
Yep. On Twitter and Instagram at WTFPodNFL, and on YouTube, we're talking football. Jason, appreciate you, brother. Hope you get a little bit of rest before that 4 o'clock, and hopefully I'll see you celebrating post-game this week.
Yeah, me too. I know a lot of people want to see me yell. I think I yelled my back out. That's what happened on Sunday. But hopefully it's going to be easier to do with the 49ers win, which is what I'm predicting as well, too. I think the 49ers get it done in Cincinnati, so it should be a good time. So check you guys out at the post-game show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Go get those W's and enjoy your football. We're out of here. Welcome, everybody. Let's go Niners. My name is Jason Aponte.